Welcome. I'm your host, Dustin. Aaron's not able to make it tonight due to an emergency, but we are doing our third episode of
Within the Barrens. Coloros scared.
a little intro for Within the Barrens. And today we have a very special guest, Jason Miller, who is known for being a UK illustrator plus a comic book artist. You've also done work with Fright Rags. You started I think before you did the new one, The Hell, you were pretty much famous for doing Death School. And like I just said, now you have The Hell that's going to be coming out. And you've also done some commissions for also one of our friends, Dean of the Dead. We have some of his hot sauce right over here. So, how are you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Thank you very much for having me on.
Yeah, it's honestly like our pleasure. We've been trying to reach out to as many people as possible to kind of get this new interview series or season, whatever you want to call it. So it's awesome to have a variety of horror folk, not just directors and actors, but artists, because everybody deserves a little bit of the limelight. So it's awesome to have you on. I know you just did a convention over the weekend, so I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was HorrorCon UK or something wicked it calls itself, and it's in Sheffield in England in the UK. And it was my first convention since the dreaded COVID. So it was just great being back out there with real life horror fans and just chatting horror and everything for like a straight 48 hours and not being looked at like an absolute weirdo.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was great. It was really busy and bustling. I got to catch up with some old friends and some new friends. It was brilliant. I absolutely loved it, man. It's brilliant.
Yeah, that's awesome. We're actually starting to get all of our conventions back over here too, and
Mhm.
I went to one about a month ago. Actually, not even like less than a month ago. They were doing like a halfway to Halloween type thing. It was really small, but just being able to go out there and just look at all the people who have been shut in for so long and all the art and all the stuff that they have coming out, because like you had so much time to go and you know make all these things, and now you're actually
Mhm.
finally able to show off what you've been making. And we backed your new comic, The Hell, and I
Oh,
just read
excellent.
through the digital one because I'm waiting for the physical to come in, and I am very, very excited for it because the art looks fucking awesome.
Oh,
I love
thank
your
you, dude.
style.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I guess we can kind of talk about Dean. We can throw him under the, well, not the bus, but we'll throw him into the grinder right now. So how did that come about? How did you guys knock heads together and create this Ales from
um,
the Crypt?
um, Dean messaged me via Facebook. I think we both kind of like followed each other from the UK scene, and we've got mutual friends. A guy called Gareth Gibson who did his logo. Um, he was kind of like the first connecting block that added us into the sort of friend group and stuff. And Dean approached me and he said to me that I really want. I'm doing these like three source barbecue box sets
Yeah.
with some rubs and stuff in the summer. I really would love a small comic strip to kind of put in with it. And it kind of went from there. And I was just like, yeah, man, yeah, I'm down. I know you from like the convention scene and stuff. I'm absolutely 100% down for doing something with you. And it's sort of like himself and sort of classic monsters facing off in like a chili eating contest, and one by one they kind of explode and set on fire, and Dean's like the last zombie standing. And like, yeah, ever since then it's been kind of like a match made in hell, so to speak. We're just one thing after the next now. We've done beers and little icons and hot sauces and all sorts. Yeah, so we're always looking for the next project to work on.
That's awesome. It's so good to hear that, somebody who we actually met through the podcast, Dean, and became really close friends with. And now that we're kind of like branching out to all the people he knows, so it's really cool to kind of incorporate you into the family and see all this awesome art that you make. Because I used to collect comic books a lot. It was I had to stop because it was such a money sink for me because I would be spending like $300 or $400 a week just on comics. It was really, really bad. Yeah,
Man,
it
I
was
thought I was
really bad.
bad.
So I'm really intrigued by all like the horror art that you do in your comics. I was trying to go through some of the other ones, and I want to eventually get through all of the comics you have and own all of them because I think your art is great. I just love how to me it's like very different than any other comics out there, and especially for the art that you did for Tales from the Crypt. I know it's kind of an homage to obviously Tales from the Crypt, and it came out brilliant. And seeing it on all of the crafty beer bottles and people holding it is really cool. And I know that we're in the U.S., so we're not able to get all that stuff. The only reason why I have this is because Dean came over and we met him, so that was really really cool. To actually sit down
Yeah.
and show him around. We took him around Salem and everything, and he was just like a kid in a candy shop. It was great.
Oh, mate, I saw his photos. I've got severe envy. I mean, I'm not a big traveler by any stretch, but when they put them photos up from Salem, hot damn.
Hey,
I
whenever
was
you want to come over, I'll do the exact same thing for you, man. I'll take you around and show you all the good stuff.
excellent.
It was a blast. It really was. Meeting him and Laura was great.
Yeah,
Definitely a
man.
highlight of our year. Another thing that I'm kind of curious is what started your love of horror and getting into the art.
So my love of horror was actually started by my granddad, I think by accident.
That always
So
happens.
so I used to kind of stay over my nan and granddad's quite a bit in the summer, so my mum and dad could go to work and things like that. And there was this one Saturday night, I was like, I want to go home at like 3 a.m.
Hmm.
And he was still up like watching John Wayne movies and stuff because that was his guy. And I wouldn't go back to bed. And he had the genius idea of showing me Nightmare on Elm Street
Oh no.
at like aged 8 or 9. And it kind of had the opposite effect. I ended up sitting there watching the whole film, absolutely loving it. Um, I think I made the connection because his name was Fred as well.
Oh,
So
okay.
I was like, yeah, this ain't scary. I get this. This is really cool. And then like the next day, my mum and dad came to pick me up, and I was like, "Oh, granddad let me watch a horror movie," and they're like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, I wasn't scared though." Oh, I wasn't scared. And so we had this sort of unwritten agreement that I could rent whatever I wanted from the video shop on a Friday night, as long as I kind of didn't go crying to them in the middle of the night and didn't get scared and stuff. And that's kind of where the love of horror came from for me. I just then it was like I say, I was video shops all the time and getting whatever I could get my hands on.
Yeah, that's like kind of like the same thing with me. Um, but I was afraid of everything from the age of like from what I can remember of like 8 to 14. My first horror movie was Halloween 1978, and it's still my
Nice.
favorite. I have like almost all the masks back here
Oh,
and a bunch
nice.
of other stuff over here. But yeah, my grandparents kind of let me watch whatever the hell I wanted,
Mm.
even if it was stuff I wasn't supposed to be watching. That was one of the ones that we watched, and I watched it with my mom. And there was numerous times where I had to like stop watching because there was too much at that age.
Yeah.
I couldn't even like go through haunts or anything like that. I was so afraid. But around the age between like 14 and 16, I really started embracing like trying to conquer my fear of all these movies and everything. And I kind of
Yeah.
started my love of horror. So I would always go to my grandparents' house because I knew they'd always let me go and watch whatever the hell I wanted. So
Excellent.
we definitely did that. That's really cool to know that you all kind of had like the same effect, and I think it was like the same with Dean, if I remember. I think he said that his first movie was also Nightmare on Elm Street, so that's also a really really cool
Yeah,
thing.
man.
So you guys are bonding over so many other things. It's great.
Do you know what the weird thing is as well? We live about less than 40 minutes away from each other, and we never knew. It wasn't until really recently we kind of went, "You live there? Oh, you live there? Oh my god, that's down the road."
Yeah, that's awesome that you guys are starting to make this really really close friendship, and I want to see more. I really do. I want to see whatever the hell you guys go and do. I want to see it because he's got a crazy mind. You got a crazy mind. So putting those two together, it's a match made in hell.
Yeah, man. Well, if it makes you feel better, we passed about 100 voice notes to each other today about different projects. So there's
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
more coming.
Yeah, he's always on the move of doing new things. That's what I love about him too, is that he just doesn't stop. He's a machine.
Yeah, man.
He
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
really is. Um, and another thing is, since you are mainly a comic book artist,
Mhm.
what brought you into Fright Rags? Like, what was your project with them?
So I should probably go back to like a couple of years before it.
Okay.
So comics is like a really tough world to kind of break into. And I had done a book for a company called Printed in Blood. Don't know if you've heard of them.
I
They're
have, yep.
just yeah, they're just like releasing the new Halloween art book now. I was in their first one, the Thing art book,
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
we got to go down to a place called Forbidden Planet in London to do a massive signing. There was nearly like 20 of the artists who were all like UK based, and one from Belgium who'd come over for it. It was crazy.
Wow.
And I got chatting to this guy, and he was like, "Yeah," he goes, "I work for Tops and Upper Deck," and I was like, "What's that?" And he was like, they're trading cards, but I do like art cards for them. I was like, "Oh, that sounds brilliant. Like, can you hook me up and get me in touch with them?" And he was like, "Yeah, yeah, no, not a problem." And he helped me out getting in touch. So I started off working with Tops and doing The Walking Dead and some Star Wars and things like that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Um, and then Upper Deck came along, and I started doing Marvel and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and stuff like that. All these things as a kid I loved, and I'm like, I'm putting my name to like official merchandise now.
That's awesome.
This is crazy. And then lo and behold, Fright Rags started doing cards. It was really kind of random how it came about, and I saw they'd done like House of a Thousand Corpses, which is my favorite Rob Zombie film. And I was like, "Oh, I'd love to get on that." And then I saw they'd done Dawn of the Dead. Yeah, yeah. You know what I'm talking about then?
Oh no, I'm dropping things over here, but I'm trying to get, because I think I got a signed one from it too. But yeah,
Yeah.
I saw that they were doing those, and
Mm.
I saw the Day of the Dead ones. I was like, I need to get that. I haven't even opened all of them, to be honest.
Wow.
Yeah, that's really, really cool.
Yeah, man. And like coming from a generation like yourself that grew up on wax packs and getting the bubblegum stick and stuff, I was super stoked because I loved the way they were kind of putting them out, and the boxes looked really retro and the packaging was really retro and stuff like that. And I just happened to get in touch with them, and they asked me to send some samples and stuff. And a couple of the samples I sent weren't even horror; they were National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation cards that I'd just done. Really random. It's like cousin Eddie, and Clark Griswold, and they come back and were like, "Have we missed original cards, like trading cards?" And them, I was like, "No, no, no. They're just like my
Yeah,
my own personal stock." And they're like, "Yeah, do you want to do some work with us?" And I was like, "Yeah." And it was that simple. I
awesome.
wish there was like some sort of more convoluted story where I had to like beg them and stuff. But yeah, they were super nice and everything. And they asked me to do Chucky, and again another franchise I grew up with and loved, and I was like, of course, yeah, 100%. And they were like, "But we just want you to draw the dolls," and I was like, "That won't be a problem."
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
I think they're still up on their site for sale too. I was trying to see if they had a box, any box sets left, but
Mm.
obviously those sold out like within minutes. So that's awesome that you were able to go and do all this stuff, and especially working on projects and other series and stuff that you grew up with, like
Mm.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. My son is like obsessed with, so I'm gonna have to go and get all those now and look them out, look out for them, and I want to pick up all the Chucky ones. So
Mm.
that's awesome. Do you want to do more work with that, or do you want to keep sticking mainly with the comics and hopefully that kind of pushes through?
Mm. I'm a never say never guy. So if the right project came up with the cards, 100%. I'm always open to people coming at me with different things. Um, there's a few sort of licenses now I feel like I'm spent on, not because I dislike the license or the company it's with. It's just when you've drawn sort of, and again, this is no disrespect to people that do it, because there's some fantastic artists that are better than
Yeah,
I am at it. They look like they're like peeled off a poster. For me, I've drawn like Darth Vader like 500 times, and I love him. but it's kind of like Star Wars. I feel kind of like burnt out on. So whether or not I'll go back to it one day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I look for like the fresh and the difference. Like when Ninja Turtles came up, I was like chomping their arm off. I was like, yeah, get me on that list. I want to be on that list.
Yeah, you got to keep things fresh. You can't be doing the same thing over and over again. So
Yeah.
I always feel like that's a, kind of like the downfalls of being in the art industry is that you kind of get stuck doing one thing. And now that you're kind of well, you are independent,
Yeah.
and you do kind of reach out and do other things. So it's really cool that you have all these ideas. You can do what you want, and then every now and then someone's like, "Hey, do you want to go and do something for this franchise or something?" You're like, "Hell yeah!" Kind of spice things up a bit. So that's really cool.
Yeah, man, that's 100% it. That's like the motto of my life.
Yeah, I mean, you have to keep things fresh, otherwise you're gonna be down in a hole and you're gonna be like, "This sucks. I need to go do something else." You don't want to burn out.
Again, that's exactly where I was getting to. Like I took a set and I really struggled. It took me like double the amount of time, and I just like, you know what, I've got to put Star Wars to bed for a little bit. And there's still some fantastic artists I know that work on it, and I could run a list off a mile long, and they're still great friends of mine on Facebook and stuff like that. But yeah, for me, I think because I'm more horror.
Yeah.
That's what it was. I love Star Wars. I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I kind of got to that point.
Ah, nice. So for the comics, was it something you were always into, or did you start out drawing and then you kind of figured like, hey, I could probably do this for a living and just kind of branch out and do your own thing?
I grew up reading 2000 AD. Like it's like a British publication over here with Judge Dredd and stuff like that, and Rogue Trooper, and Spider-Man and Batman. Basically anything my dad was reading, because he was a big comic book fan before me. So I just used to get sat down at his work on a Saturday morning when he had to go in with this big stack of comic books, a big pad of paper, and I just used to copy panels out of the ones I really enjoyed.
Oh.
And then eventually it started to be, I would copy the shape of the person, like copy Spider-Man, but put my own character in over the top.
That's
And
definitely a good way to start.
And that's kind of where I started going from.
Wow, that's awesome. See, I grew up always wanting to draw, and I can't. I suck. I can't even do stick figures correctly. It's awful. And like I said, I used to be obsessed with comics. Like I have a whole like little cubby in the wall filled with like thousands of comic books. It was really bad. And I was starting to get into the horror sphere of comics. Um, it's so weird because people think comic books are just superheroes, and it's not just that. It's a bunch of other things. There's a local store near me that I would go to, and they had a whole wall dedicated to horror comics. And I would go over there, and I would look at it, and at first I was like, "This is really weird. I want to see, superheroes and stuff, because like I can go watch a horror movie and watch people get ripped apart." But when you start diving into the horror genre in comics, it goes so much deeper than just what the movies show you, because you can go through so many issues and you're telling a really, really long story, and then you can draw things that you can't put on screen, and to see how visceral things can get. And like reading through the first issue of The Hell that you are putting out, and how just crazy that gets. I love it.
Oh, thank you, man. Yeah, and that's kind of where my mind goes with it. It's like, if I was going to make a slasher movie or a TV show about two video slacker clerks, trying to defend against a portal from hell, and I had literally any budget I wanted, and that's where what I could do with it. And that's why I think you can afford to get so crazy. I mean, like some of the comics I've read are better than some of the sequels to films that have come out there. I mean, you've got like the Freddy versus Jason versus Ash comics. They're insane. but strangely they make bits of Friday the 13th make sense, and the storylines are fantastic, and you sit there and you think, God, if this was a film,
Yeah.
but then they'd probably never get the budget to do what was needed.
No, and that's a sad thing too. But then again, that's why we have comics and we have artists, and they can kind of explore those worlds and realms and possibilities that you won't be able to get a big enough budget to put to the screen, even if it's like a streaming only like series or something like that. Um, Another thing that I'm kind of curious on is, do you have a personal favorite of any of the works that you've done so far?
Of my works.
Yeah, of yours, or even like other ones that you've done that aren't your works, like like through tops or anything like that.
Probably. Sorry, I'm squeaking all over the table. Right?
You're good.
Do you know what? At the moment, it sounds silly, but my favorite still probably is Death School. At the moment, it was such like a labor of love, and he's my own character. It's kind of like my own universe I've built around him, and I'd sat on him for about 4 years
Oh wow.
before I even actually, he I was talking about like Evan. His name was Simon, and he looked a little bit more screamish, like
Yeah.
Ghostface,
Mm-hmm.
but like a really hench version of Ghost. Hey, excellent, man. But yeah, he looked a bit like Ghostface, but a little bit more like the size of Jason, and it just took lots of rewrites and stuff to get him there. I always knew it was going to sort of take place in a school and it's going to be a revenge story and stuff like that, but it just took a while to get in there. And then when COVID hit, that's when I took my chance. I went for him.
I mean, there are, I guess, a lot of positives, sort of with COVID. It's like you're able to, now kind of isolate yourself and really think about all the things that you want to do. And like you're saying with death school and stuff, that you just took that leap of faith and you're like, I'm gonna do this, and it paid off in the end, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, 100%. And like we mentioned earlier on, like at the HorrorCon I was at the weekend, the creative side where people just had time to create was
Mm-hmm.
insane. There was so much to look at and so many incredible creations and pieces of art that people had done. And you can see they've put their heart and soul into it, and it was fantastic. And if one decent thing came out of COVID, it was that.
Yeah, I have to agree on that too. Even with the one that I went to that was really, really small, like just the amount of stuff people had just to display and show off is nuts. Knowing that you have that amount of like creative juices like going through, and you had all this time to sit and think, and then it's like as soon as they popped the cork, it just went crazy, and everybody just has like an unlimited supply of ideas, and that's why I think it's really cool, and something that people need to do is go to these horror conventions or go to any kind of convention and just support all these artists, and not just all the big people, all the small people. Like Jason, you're still relatively small, even though
Yeah.
you're definitely, I think, blowing up. Especially because of this convention you went to, I was seeing so many people post pictures of your stuff everywhere, and I was
Oh,
like,
thank you.
this is awesome. And like even with like Dean is independent. Like it's literally just Dean. He does everything himself with Laura and
No.
whatnot, and he's at every single convention, and people are always posting stuff about his products. So it's awesome to see that the smaller people are now starting to show what they're capable of and kind of outdo all these bigger brands. Especially with me, I've been doing a lot of support with short films on Indiegogo, or like first time directors or artists like yourself. I'm supporting anything that you put out. It's crazy to see how much stuff is coming out
Yeah,
everywhere
man.
in the horror genre.
Yeah, man.
I can't get enough. I really can't.
There was some fantastic Kickstarters through lockdown that I backed as well, and I haven't been disappointed once with anything I've received. It's all just so fresh. And that's the fun part. I mean, I love going back to the old classics. I mean, everyone does. I mean, like yourself, I can sit and watch Halloween over and over and over, and I can read the comics they did over and over. But it's so nice to kind of see like the fresh stuff now hitting, like from the indie creators, are just coming from completely left field and doing this stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Um, I guess another thing that I'm curious about is, have you ever been over to the States to do any conventions or anything over here for your work?
I haven't, but that is clearly the dream.
Yes. Yeah, I was just going to ask you that because that's something that you would like to do.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. If I could get to a point where there was enough outcry in America, I would be on the first plane over
Yeah, that's
without
awesome.
doubt.
You and Dean need
Yeah.
to team up.
Yeah.
There you go. Because he's working to get over here as hard as possible. I'm trying to do as much as I can to help him out. So if there's anything I can do to get you over here, let me know, man. Because I want to see more people from the UK come over here. Because there's a lot of good stuff in the UK
Mhm.
that we don't get over here, and it
Yeah.
sucks. I'm kind of like I don't want to say dried up on what's going on over here in the US with like art
Mhm.
wise and everything, but I like to see what other countries are doing because it's always so vastly different than what we have over here. And I feel like over in the UK, you guys take chances when people over here are very, very safe, is what it feels. And I like to see people take those leaps of faith and see what they're doing is coming out way better than they were expecting.
Yeah. Thank you, man. Yeah, I mean, it's true. Every country has its own sort of style and niche. I mean, you can see stuff from like Germany, the way they do places in Italy, and the way they do their stuff. It's
Yeah.
every country is different. So for us over here, America's like the great white wow, where I'm looking over there going, oh my God, look at what they're putting out. But you're going, oh, I've seen it all done now, and it's weird to see like the yin yang of it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna say that the stuff over here isn't good. It is, but it's just I love seeing other things because it's fresh, it's
Mm.
different. It could be way more visceral. It could be way more, close to the heart, and that's definitely what I feel is going on over in the UK right now with a lot of artists and other things and projects I'm seeing is that they're all taking a lot of chances, a lot of like big chances on things, especially like looking at um some of the photos I was seeing from the festivals that have been going on over there and just how ridiculously crowded and great everything looks compared to what's going on over here. I feel like conventions are not, I won't say dying over here, but they're not as big as what they seem like over in the UK. And Dean tells me all the time, like, dude, they're not as big over here as they are in the US. But seeing the photos and stuff, I'm telling you, I think you guys might be surpassing us with the very few that he says that you guys have over there, which is crazy.
Yeah, we get like there's two big horror cons over here, and one's the one we've just done, which is HorrorCon UK, um, and then you get For the Love of Horror, which is in October, and they're the two biggies, um, and they're both brilliantly run. They're both really professional, but they're so different in how they're operating. I'd say that For the Love of Horror feels more like an American con. There's just guest after guest after guest and reunions and stuff like that. But and then HorrorCon in Sheffield, they had like people like Malcolm McDowell and Nick Frost and Andrew Divoff and people like that. They
That's
they kind
nuts.
of get like less guests, but it's sort of like really rare people you get at these things
Yeah.
for us. And but yeah, they are starting to really pick up traction now, which is really nice because we have a couple of sort of huge comic cons where they're really sort of Americanized with just it's just pure football. It's almost like just chaos.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. You gotta have a little bit of chaos to have some fun.
Oh,
Um,
indeed, yeah.
so like one of the biggest festivals, this isn't really a convention, but it's kind of being turned into a convention for next year that's very, very local to us is the Salem Horror Fest. I'm sure Dean's probably talked to you about that
Yeah.
like nonstop. And that's what he's trying to get into, and I'm trying to help him any way that I possibly can because Kay is a friend of the show, who is the director over there, and they're making it really, really big in April of next year. and I'm really excited to see where it's going, because this is out of the season. It's not during October when it usually is. And
Yeah.
October in Salem is trash pile because there's so many people there. It's hard
Yeah.
to navigate or visit anything. So I'm very excited to see how that is. And I think if you were trying to come over here and get into the scene of festivals
Mhm.
and conventions, that would be a very good way of getting your foot in, just because of how big it's going to be next year in April. I'm very excited to see what Kay has up her sleeve.
Amazing. That sounds awesome, man.
Yep, and get with Dean, see if he's getting any details or anything like that, because I'm
Yeah,
sure
yeah.
that he'd be like, "Come along, man. We'll support each other," because obviously you guys have done works together and whatnot. And I kind of want to lead this into with the new project they have going on, the Hell. What made you come up with this idea, and was there any other inspirations that brought you to try to do something like this? I know there's a lot of references in it, and I love the references, and I really want people to read this, and be awed by what's going on, because it's crazy. It starts off, kind of, just two people running a store, and then it just
Yeah.
goes batshit. So I'm kind of curious of how this came about.
So obviously I did Deaf School, and Deaf School was like my feature film.
Yeah.
And I realized I was very tied into kind of one storyline. And I always wanted to do more of like a TV show idea. So that's kind of where the Hell kind of started. I was like, right, okay, if I was doing a TV show, what would I do?
Okay.
And then I started to reflect on the TV shows I really loved kind of growing up and things I like now. So I was like, I really loved Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I really loved like Chilling Tales of Sabrina, Stranger Things, kind of like the real kind of horror sci-fi stuff that
Yep.
was tinged with humor. And then I was like, okay, I don't really want to set it now. When can I set it? And I was thinking, what about if I set it in like the 90s? So I kind of tried to tie it into like being in the mid 90s. So I was like, okay, I'll set it in 1996. This is all a big brainstorm I'm doing. I've got a whole sketchbook. I'm just writing crazily. And I was like, set in 1996. Okay, I'm going to have the characters work in a video shop.
Perfect idea.
Yeah. And I thought, what could I call the video shop? And I was like, I'm going to call it the Video Castle, because that's what I called a video shop in the deaf school. So I'm like kind of creating this my own little kind of universe where everything kind of ties in. And I was like, okay, so let me start thinking about how this could happen. And I thought, okay, well, I need bad guys. So I thought, okay, what's the worst that they could be? They could all be from hell. And that was it. And I just started running the ideas then. And I always felt like scarecrows are terrifying.
Yeah,
And
I'm on that too. Yeah, they are pretty scary.
yeah, and really strange. They're so few and far between. And I thought, right, okay, I'm going to have demonic scarecrows as my first kind of villains. And that's kind of where it went from. But yeah, so it's kind of where I describe it to people. It's if you took Buffy and Sabrina and you wedged them into a really gory horror movie, but then you just sprinkled a little bit of Kevin Smith over the top.
Oh yeah, I can feel that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I wanted the feel to be like of the comic. And I should be calling them issues, but I keep calling them episodes.
Hey, that's fine. That's something new, because then who knows? Maybe somebody would pick it up like, hey, we want to turn this into an actual show. That would be
Yes.
dope.
Yeah, man, I'm here for it. If anyone wants to give me millions of dollars,
Yes. Let's get Jason to make his the Hell mini series. We'll put you on Shudder.
Yeah, man, I'm down with that. I'll be very much down with that. But yeah, so that's kind of how it started. And then I needed names for the characters, so they're called Sunny and Dawn. And it's they're just these two young teenage girls that work in a video shop, and one Halloween the shit hits the fan.
Yeah, very quickly too. Oh
Yeah.
man, those poor teenagers. I enjoyed it a lot. I'm actually gonna read it again after we're through with this, because there's a lot of things I felt like I missed going through, because you have so many references to everything that I think mostly everybody will get,
Mm.
especially with some of the masks that you have in there.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil too much for anybody who hasn't seen it. So this is currently out to buy since the Indiegogo was successful, right?
Yeah. So I what I tried to do, I shipped everything out to all the backers. And I've literally just reopened my Etsy store today, like about an hour before we came on here. And
Awesome.
the hell is on there now. It's on there as an issue 1, and this is a issue 1 of a 3-issue arc.
All right, awesome. I'm definitely gonna be grabbing all the rest of those. Is there any other projects that you have that you would like to do, or anything in the works right now? Or are you just focusing on this one right now, and then gonna branch out and possibly do something else?
Um, well, I'm going to try and wrap up the hell first, at least this
Yeah.
story arc. And I know a few people at HorrorCon were talking about working with me. There's a couple of different comic companies and a couple of other people that already want to do even just do a one shot, stuff like that. So I'm kind of down with that. But yeah, but at the moment it's all focused on the hell, and then um I can be a bit of a scatterbrain sometimes when I'm drawing. So I'm already started planning Death School 2.
Awesome.
So yeah, I'm kind of always looking at the next thing, and what I've got other comic ideas I want to do as well, but they're barely even a title yet.
That's
Just
awesome.
my brain.
I need to go and pick up all the things that I don't have right now. So now that you have the Etsy store opened up, everybody go support Jason, because you have amazing work. I really think you and Dean need to do an actual series of Ales from the Crypt. I really do.
Yeah, I think that is the plan. Or you mean like an actual comic book?
Yeah.
Oh, an actual comic. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's not the plan.
No, you should definitely go and do that, and do like a whole different thing. I gotta talk to him about that and be like,
Yeah.
hey, you need to think of something and get back to Jason, because I think it as like an actual comic. You buy the craft beer, get the comic. That'd be awesome.
100%. I think that'd be quite a good, like a subscription box.
Yeah, that would be sick. And like, here's a couple of his hot sauces and stuff like that. That's great. Let me see if there was any other questions. So who inspired your artwork style? Was there a specific person, or were you kind of drawing from a bunch of other people to create your own style?
So growing up, it was people like Neil Adams, James O'Barr, then moving on to people like Tony Moore, Greg Capullo, Todd McFarlane, um, just Rob Liefeld, Jim Lee. The list just goes
All the
on
good
and on
ones,
and
yeah.
on. Yeah. And John Romata Jr. There's so many that I grew up reading, and even now I still look at people's stuff and I'm constantly evolving, because it's like I look at people's stuff, oh, okay, that's a really interesting way you've done that, or that's a really interesting way you've taken that panel and looked at it, and that's what I love about doing art. I'm constantly evolving.
Yeah.
And I think every artist that works is constantly evolving, and that's why it's so brilliant. Even if you don't see an artist work for a couple of years and you kind of come back to it's completely different.
Yeah, that's definitely true, and that's cool that you recognize that you're evolving. I feel like when I talk to people who are friends who do artwork and stuff, they always feel like they're kind of stuck at this one spot, and they can never like break out of it. So I guess what you're saying is like just kind of take a break if that's like the case, and keep pushing forward. And you can definitely see it from Death School over to the Hell. I can definitely see that things are definitely getting way more wacky on your end, and that's a good thing.
Good.
That's a good thing. And I really hope everybody goes to pick up the Hell, because I enjoyed the first one. I love the colors that you're using, the dialogue that's going on with just how crazy everything is going in that for one night, and it's not even over, is nuts. I'm very, very excited for the next issue. but no rush, no rush.
Well, I have already started planning the issue, and I was kind of working on it before I went to HorrorCon. So I've started like sort of thumbing and roughing it out. So I kind of know where it's going, and I've got some new characters coming in issue 2, and like a little. The next issue is like the journey to get to the end, so to speak. So it gets a little bit more crazy. So yeah. If you like crazy, you'll be here for it.
Yes, I love crazy. I love wacky. And you're also your own writer too, correct? You do all like your dialogue and everything. You don't have anybody else that works underneath you?
No, it's all me. The only thing I will admit is my wife is my editor, because she says I write like I speak. So, so she has to check it.
Nice. I love that too. Just seeing how everybody can do all these things essentially themselves and find success in it. So you and Dean are very alike, and that's awesome. And I'm here to support both of you and anybody else who comes along. And I want everybody else to go and support all the works that you do. I mean, unlike Dean, your stuff is accessed pretty much throughout the whole world, and Dean's locked into the UK for reasons, and that kind of sucks for him. But it's really, really cool. Is there also
it's good for us though, because we get to keep all these hot sauces and beers to ourselves.
That is true, because he makes all his batches like fresh, so that's another really good thing. Another thing is there any way for people to get any of these copies digital, or is it strictly paperback?
I from the backing, you'll know I do digital copies. I don't tend to put them on my Etsy store. But if people want a digital copy, they can just drop me a message, and I set up like a purchase for them, and then I just transfer it to them, because they're too big to send via email. So that's how I tend to do it.
Okay, that's pretty simple and a good way to go about it. There's anything else? I think that pretty much covers everything that I was really curious about. Is there anything else that you want to touch up on that you think people need to know about, or anything that you want people to go and look for on your Etsy store?
I mean, I've got prints on there. I've got original art as well. I am open for commissions, and if someone's got an idea they want to get to me and speak to me about, I'm open and listening. But that's really it. My Etsy store can be found via my Instagram. So there's all link in my bio to my link tree, and my store's in there.
Awesome. I'm going to be taking a check at it. And I actually might be reaching out to you too for a commission wise, because I have an idea of something. So I'm going to bring it by you. Actually, I'm probably going to talk to Dean about it first, because he always likes to spice up my ideas. So I'll go to him, and then I'm probably going to reach out to you, because I have something I want to work on for the show.
Yeah, man.
So that's awesome.
Hit me up.
Definitely will. And now that you're part of the family, we'll be in contact pretty periodically. And I would love to get you back on and actually talk about, actual horror movies and whatnot. That's another thing that we're always open of having you come on and just discuss some movies with us.
I do love a good chat about horror movies. You might want to bring you might want to bring snacks.
Yes. So we'll definitely set that up. I want to get Dean on the call too, to get all of us kind of bumping heads. And I know Aaron wasn't able to make it here tonight, but I think I asked all the questions that he wanted to ask as well. So Jason, that was really fun. I know it's really, really short, but I'm sure there'll be a lot more that we could talk about next time when we get everybody into a room. There'll be a lot of heads bumping into each other and whatnot.
Oh, I lost you there for a second.
Oh, you back?
I'm back. I got you.
All right. So I was just saying that I think that's pretty much all that we have to cover, and that we'll set up another thing to get everybody on here, because I want to get everybody into the same room and kind of bump heads and talk some more horror and whatnot. So it's really cool to sit down and pick your brain on your process of doing all this and all the things that you've done. Really cool to know that you were picked up by Tops, and then you just got thrown right into Fright Rags and did some stuff for them. I got to make sure I at least pick up one pack of the Chucky series, because I think they're still live on their site. That's awesome.
That sounds great. No, well, thank you very much for having me. It's been awesome chatting and stuff, and I'll definitely come back on 100%.
Oh yeah, I'll actually send you a message after this, and I'll give you the whole list of what we have going on this year. And I'll send it to Dean again because I know he's been trying to get on here as well. So maybe we'll try to get something for you both to be on, and then we can go from there, man.
Yeah, man. Sounds sick to me. Sounds good.
All right, awesome. I know this was a short one, guys, but it was short and sweet. We learned a lot of stuff about Jason, and I'm really looking forward to all the other issues that are coming out from the Hell. And make sure you go check out all of his other works on his Etsy. And this was the Barrens Hideout Podcast. I was your host, Dustin, and that was Jason Miller. So please go support the little guys, everybody. Regardless of where you are in the world, go support them. Thank you so much, Jason, for being here, man.
No, thank you, dude. Thank you.